Squid Game, the new South Korean dystopian Netflix show, has taken the world by storm. And I mean that literally. It is #1 on Netflix right now in over 90 different countries. Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sara Lubratt, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing what I thought were the 6 best storytelling techniques in Squid Game. If you go on to enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and now without further ado, let's get into it. The hit South Korean Netflix show Squid Game is a fairly dark and graphic dystopian, so if you haven't seen it already, watch at your own discretion, but I was a little blown away at how hooked I got and how successfully it handled a couple really key storytelling techniques. I'm not going to be talking much about the plot or what actually happens in the TV show today, but I am going to cover myself in the contents of this video and say that there will probably be some minor spoilers if you have not already watched the show. To give you a little bit of a summary, the TV show starts out with several characters who are in major debt getting approached with an offer to play a game to win a little bit of money. After playing a couple more times, the businessman hands over a card with the mention of the potential of making a lot more money. An unmarked vehicle late at night, a masked driver, and some mystery guests later, the characters wake up in bunks in a large room, which is when things really get started.
Everyone here will participate in 6 different games over 6 days. Those who win all 6 games will receive a handsome cash prize. 107 Kim Myo, 540 million in debt. 118 Oh Young-wook, 1.02 billion in debt. 322 Jung Min-tae, 880 million in debt. You all have debts that you can't pay off.
So now that we're here, let's talk about the 6 best storytelling techniques in Squid Game. The first storytelling technique is keeping things simple. The premise of the 6 games that are played within this TV show are all based on popular children's games in South Korea. The threat of losing a game is simple. The character is eliminated. The rules to the games themselves are simple. 1. A player is not allowed to stop playing in the games. 2. A player who refuses to play will be eliminated. And 3. The games may be terminated if the majority agrees. The viewer is kept in just as much darkness as the characters are until things are revealed, and when things are revealed, the viewer and the character learn about them at the same time, so that the viewer is able to make sense of things as the characters are also processing them. And the last thing that helps keep things really simple are that characters are slowly introduced so that the viewer does not get overwhelmed, because there are 456 players playing this game. Storytelling technique number 2 is raising the stakes. Because the games presented to the players are very basic children's games that many of them are already familiar with and used to play as children, the familiarity levels the playing field. And because the playing field is level and everyone is entering it as an equal, with somewhat an equal amount of previous experience with that game, it is very easy to make the stakes huge. And by that, I very simply mean that these games are life or death situations. Because they are familiar games, no one can necessarily outsmart the other characters. They just have to keep their wits about them so that they are able to play these games well because of what is at stake, aka their lives. Storytelling technique number 3 is to make the characters desperate. The point of the game, as told by the villainous presence that's kind of unknown, is that the games are supposed to put these people who have been in very unfair situations on a level playing field to make them all equals, to give them one more shot at life, and basically the opportunity to get out of their debt. For every player involved, that one shot at winning that much prize money would solve their debt problems, save themselves from their debtors, and save their families. These characters are in so much debt that they have no other option. They are desperate for the money. They are given the option to leave if the majority agrees that they want to stop playing the game. But they wouldn't leave with money if they chose to terminate the game. The money that had been collected up until that point would be split up and divided amongst the families who had lost a family member to these games. The majority of the players did vote to terminate the game and then went back out into the real world to find their situations even more dire than when they had gone in. So when given the last opportunity to come back and join the game again, almost every single player did. I think it's really fascinating how this is a dystopian story, and so they could really ramp up the stakes because these characters have already been through something so incredibly traumatic that they really want to win the money because that's what they came there to do. They already suffered suffered so much while being in the games that most of them think it only makes sense for one of them or multiple of them to be able to leave with the prize money because of what they've had to go through. Something that I think this show does really well within the raising the stakes technique is that whenever a player is eliminated, the character's attention is pivoted back to the large glass piggy bank hanging in the dorm room, and thus the money that they could potentially win if they survive the rest of the games. Which brings me straight into storytelling technique number 4, which is repetition. The 3 most common things that I noticed that were repeated throughout this show, Squid Game, were symbols, instructions, and music. And because the stakes are so high, it's so creepy. The prominent symbols that were most often shown in this show were first shown to us on the business card that the businessman handed to one of the main characters at the beginning of the show. Those symbols, a circle, a triangle, and a square, show up as signs of rank on the men in red suits, masks. They wear black face masks with a symbol painted on the upper part of their face. Lowest in rank is the circle, next in rank is the triangle, and then up top is the square. Instructions are repeated often, especially at the beginning of every game, and there's something so ominous about the simplicity, again, simplicity, of the repetition and of the instructions, especially when the characters don't know what the game is going to be, but all that they know is that there's the threat of being eliminated.
Your time limit will be 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Let me repeat the instructions.
There's also the repetition of music, and I'm primarily talking about when money is added to the giant glass piggy bank. There is a very strange song that plays that's like very arcade-ish that tells the characters exactly what is happening. And it's done in such a dark way because money is always added after characters are eliminated. Storytelling technique number 5 is character morals and ethics. These characters have been put in such a horrible situation, but those horrible situations have really come to show their true character because they are at absolute rock bottom. These characters were in so much debt and life was really, really hard before the games. And then they were given the chance, if you want to call it that, with the games and the chance of winning a lot of money to fix their problems out in the real world, that they are desperate and that they will do pretty much anything in order to be the one that ends up with the prize money at the end. And I think it's really interesting when a character gets desperate enough for their true colors to come out like that and really show what their morals and ethics are. Which brings me directly into storytelling technique number 6, which is characterization. Yes, like I mentioned in technique number 1, keeping it simple, characters are introduced rather slowly, which helps the viewer keep characters straight and not mixing them up. But as more and more of the characters are introduced, the viewer is able to watch how various players handle the situations. With how simple and structured the games actually are, characterization comes through in how the players handle the situations that they're in, especially when they figure out what the stakes are and then they have the stakes in mind as they progress through the games.
The second game is sugar honeycomb.
I'm dead.
In several of the games, they are presented with options that they have no information on how they should choose something, like shapes or numbers, but then we get to learn little things about their past that affect how they choose to make those decisions with no other knowledge about why they are making those choices. Some characters make really rash decisions and jump in with their first gut feeling, and some of them overthink and try to use as much time to figure out what they should do. And these gut decisions are either really, really good or really, really bad. And sometimes overthinking gets the characters into a bad situation. We're also shown a lot of character regrets in their decisions, and part of what affects their decisions is from previous regret about who they were able to be or not be, or what they were able to do or not do in the past. Ultimately, the Netflix show Squid Game poses one crucial question, and that is, who are we? It's asking whether humanity is ultimately good or ultimately evil, which is one of the best storytelling questions of all time because of how many possibilities can stem from that one question alone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button because it really supports my channel by telling the YouTube algorithm that you liked my video and that someone else might too. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and tell me what you liked best about Squid Game, or if you feel like I left out one of the key storytelling techniques used in this show. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it from me, make sure you scroll down below, hit that big red subscribe button so YouTube notifies you every time I upload a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Sara Lubratt, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.